Up, Gale. Just a few ground rules. We got 15 minutes of availability, so we'll pass the mic around for questions. We also have a couple of media members joining us through Zoom. I'll be monitoring that in the background. Uh, so I'll go ahead and pass the mic to the first person. Oh, for our people on Zoom, just if you're joining us right now, just make sure to raise your hand in the Zoom chat if you'd like to ask a question for Rob, and I'll make sure to call on you. With that said, we're going to go ahead and get started here in person. Anybody want the first question? Luke?
Hey Rob, just general thoughts on that opening night match.
Um, Little wet, little wild. I thought we deserved to win. Don't think that was in question. We were the protagonists from the 15th minute onwards. The disappointment was the slow start. Thought we'd be more aggressive. We were a little bit passive. And obviously the goal was disappointing. We didn't get tight in the box. We've lent away from it, a couple of mistakes and left Mac sort of blind to the shot, and they score first goal early again. And then you're having to chase a little bit. But after 15 minutes, I thought we started to settle in, started to get our pressing right. And then, yeah, chance after chance after chance, set pieces. Their keepers had a fantastic game. Yeah, I'll reserve comment on any officiating this evening to not get myself in trouble, but I felt we didn't quite get the breaks at the right time and with a little more composure in that final third, which has been the story of the preseason, and we'll have to ride through that with the young ones. Just settle ourselves and slow it down because we got the pace to get in behind. We then just need that final ball, a little bit of composure, a little bit of class, and then we'll finish teams off as we deserve to.
Yeah, then Rob, can you talk to us about Sam Hiatt, who led all defenders in multiple metrics, just her veteran leadership back there, especially on a young back line? How much did that mean to have her back there, just as a
Yeah, huge. I mean, we talked about it in Kansas and had a real good, honest conversation with her, which shows what a leader she is. That she's like, I'm not sure if I'm ready to start. And credit to the performance and med team and Watsy and the gang, because we did extra work on the regen day. It was only a short week of training because we had 3 days only. And they did some extra work, as did all the group, to get a Reilyn closer, to get a Sam, to get them up to starting level with different injuries that they've come back from. So yeah, what a performance. I thought at centre back there, led the line, vocal, good use of the ball, cracking tackles at the right time, proper centre halves performance. But on a wet, cold night, we needed that tonight, and I think that gave us a platform as we got settled in to then build and turn the opposition around more.
Speaking of Sam, you said last week that she was about 60 minutes fit, and then we saw her play a full 90 today. So kind of just wanted to ask about that return to playing 90 minutes. And then also Jesse Fleming concussed for this match, wondering if you have a timeline for that.
I'll start with Sam there again. Yeah, the work was done 60 minutes, and that's right on the borderline. You don't want to be going into a game having to swap the centre back at halftime, right? And they need to build those minutes. So, like I say, we did extra work starting at the end of the Kansas game. Obviously, we had to take a couple of days off. So staff weren't getting in until 2 a.m. on the Sunday morning, I don't think. And a lot of us are stuck at the airport looking for Chick-fil-A on a Southwest airline with no tickets. So that was lovely. But yeah, it took a while to get us home. We gave them a couple of days off, but then it gave us an opportunity to really attack that first day back in the week and build. Tricky week, because then usually your next day would be a good build and a heavier one for the team, but it became a match day -2. So periodization was a bit wonky for this one. But Sam, as well as others, put in the work. And then Jesse, yeah, I mean, I don't know if you've watched it back, but again, now the officials did not call that. There were 3 of them. It was violent. It was across with the shoulder. It doesn't seem like we're getting the calls and protecting the players right now. So that was unfortunate. I don't have a timeline on it. It's a concussion. Those things are tricky. She has to go through the protocol, make sure, she meets all the baseline, and we've got a very good medical staff who deal with all the testing, and hopefully Jess will be back in contention for a spot in the squad soon.
Yeah, just want to get your thoughts on Olivia tonight and all the chances she created, and also a couple of rookies you had come off the bench late. Hanks and Thornton were in the middle of a lot of things too. So just thoughts on all 3 of them tonight.
Yeah, Livia, I think the question was asked by the broadcast crew, how do I see her role being this year? And I said a prominent one. She gets more touches in the box. She gets that off great offensive positions. I think she was unlucky not to get a call inside the box there. And a couple outside the box. She didn't get protected tonight. But I thought, she continues to show as the game still gets stretched or people get tired. Liv continually shows for the ball and tries to make stuff happen. And you saw created chances for others towards the end there. Off the corners, the set piece delivery was really good tonight. Obviously, the goal, same we'd worked on specifically yesterday. We knew they'd be vulnerable off of those. Hina was super unlucky on a second phase one. And like I said, their keeper was probably their man in the match for sure, I would say, tonight. Kaya coming on at halftime. Yeah, Peeps was just struggling a little physically, and we'd probably planned it around the 60-minute mark, but I was happy to get her 45. I knew she'd come on and cause problems. We know the quality she has. She was reflecting at the end. I think she wants to run a bit more. I think the heart rate was going faster than her legs for the first 15 minutes. And yeah, just got herself in great positions. A little bit of composure on that final ball. I think we had 2 back post passes wide open. Lex was there. Reilyn was there. But I thought, you're starting to see what she's capable of. And the Portland fans are going to love her. And then Pietra, I thought, much better than when she went on at Utah. She's getting used to this speed of play and the level. You can see she holds the ball up well. She gives a threat. She's tricky, back to goal. Give her a sniff at goal. She gets shots on target. So, it was good when Reilyn had sort of ran a race to be able to throw that on. And then Lex, of course, as well. And I think it was our 20th shot of the night. We get that breakaway fairy book story, fairy tale ending, but their keepers, robbed us again, unfortunately. So, yeah, I was really pleased. Can't fault the players for the effort. Like I say, first 15 minutes weren't quite at it. After that, best team. We deserve more. We will get more with that level of performance in the future. It's just that final end product now. And I think the crowd got a glimpse of how exciting this team can be.
All right, we're going to go with Dan over Zoom, and then we're going to go in person with Wilder and Guillermo. Go ahead, Dan.
To Rob, Dan Letter from Equalizer. You mentioned the slow start, and also last week a slow start. Last season, when you guys were at your best, a lot of that was based on really quick starts. So I'm wondering if there's anything you can pinpoint that might be causing that. Is that something that you can maybe get a vibe on coming out of the locker room, or it just kind of happens once in a while?
Yeah, no, they were pumped coming out the locker room. Played them a little tape from Nicole, who obviously had got injured in the game against Angel City in preseason, and a little extra motivation to go out and match a battle that we knew we were going to get faced. No, I mean, 2 different games. The other day, we're in control, ball over the top, Chawinga, good luck catching her. Tonight, completely different, really. No correlation, I don't think, 10 minutes in or whatever it was. Just disappointing. We got goal side, Sammy was in shape, and then we just backed off, let the player turn, and then shrugged out the way of the shot, really. So don't think there's anything to pinpoint there. Vibes were good going into the game tonight. The energy was there. Crowd was magnificent from first to last, as they always are here. So.
And when you say composure in the final third, I assume you don't mean the great saves that their keeper made, but a couple of plays like when Hanks got in at one point and maybe rushed it a little bit, making the pass when she had a lot of time and space.
Not necessarily, because obviously different. North Carolina completely different in the way they build, the way they possess the ball. They're not as transitional. Not with the pacey threat over in behind. So it'll be a different game. We know with the fullback prowess they've got here that they're good going one way, but they can be exposed the other way. And that was, part of the game plan in having Reilyn and Peeps up top to be able to stretch them and get in behind. And when the game becomes stretched, then you start opening up the pockets for a Liv Moultrie, a Dana, and you saw Hina back to her best tonight. So it was a big improvement from the midfield from Kansas City. The biggest thing, it's been the same all season. We create chance after chance. I think we had 17 chances 18 against Utah, 20 tonight. Yeah, it'd be nice to have Mrs. Wilson ahead to pop a couple of those in, but these guys will find the net. And here's a goal scorer now. I think she deserved that goal, and the keeper robbed her a couple of other times. But these guys are going to score goals as we settle in and get used to each other, and we'll just keep throwing the hammer at it as we did all the way through the game to try and win.
Hey, Rob, Guillermo Mota with K2. You talked about the last 75 minutes. Is the second half more so the style of play you want to play for the remainder of the season? I know on Thursday we talked about your identity for this year. So can you talk about the last 45 minutes? And also, can you talk about Reina's stability on the back end? Thank you.
Yeah, I thought Issa, Sam, Reilyn, Torpy all had a good game in the back line. And you need that stability, strength. They're very direct and physical. They leave things in on challenges, as you saw all game long. So we had to stand up to that because we want to play and we want to create. But you've got to earn the right to play and battle. So I think Reina, amongst others, was solid, and then had some real good moments going forward, turning the ball around to Kaya, and her and Liv and Kaya caused havoc down the left-hand side late on. So what was the first part of that question?
Identity.
Oh yeah, identity. Look, they're building it. How many new debuts tonight? One. Sam Hiatt for us. Sammy, yes, he's here. Sammy with a debut for the Thorns in our game. Yeah, did we get anybody else on tonight? I was hoping to, but no, that was it tonight. Okay, but yeah, again, that's 6 in 2 games. They're getting to know each other. We've got late arrivals in the door because of obviously what happened in the preseason and people need to step up. So the identity will come. They know what they want to be. We're very clear on what we want it to be. I think we did win the ball back a lot higher in the second half in the opposing half. That's a very positive sign with the attacking talent we have on the field. Obviously, the closer we win it to the opposition goal, the more opportunities we're going to create. So, yeah, lots to build on and really positive in that second half. And again, all credit to the players for going and really trying to find that winning goal that they deserve tonight.
All right, we got Leo, and then we're going to wrap up with Fook.
I think Liv last week was talking about kind of how you'll make your lineups, and then there's a lot of positional interchange and it's more about like finding like a player needs to be in a spot rather than my right winger needs to be in this spot. And I guess I was wondering if you could speak a little bit more to that, and also obviously you have a lot of talented players who know how to play soccer well. How do you get them all on the same page so when there is that level of interchange and stepping into space, like it comes out cohesively?
Yeah, good question. Good football question there. Love it. It's look, structure underpins success, right? And you have to have the structure to then have the fluidity, and it needs to be, you can call it like water, formlessness in the attacking. Because if you're very predictable and there's no interchanges of positions, then the opposition will be, very compact. You saw them sit in a block. Kansas did it very well, sat in a block, and then it's a challenge to break down. So we need to have that ability to stretch in behind. We need rotation. Tonight, you saw Liv coming into the pocket. It allows Reilyn the ability to stretch in behind. You need a far side threat. So there's certain principles that we work on. How do you create overloads in the middle of the park? You saw with 2 6s, there's ability to play in between and in behind them, and then you're trying to get your 10s on the ball. So for these guys, because they're creative and dynamic players, if you give them too many rules or too much structure, you take away that fluidity and that creativity. You don't need to do that. I need to have the structure and the underpinning of success behind the ball to deny the counterattacks and stop those transitions. But once that shape and organization is there, then it's principle based. How do we create in between, in behind options? And then, as a rule, trying to get 3-4 players into goal scoring areas so that when those balls are coming in, we're able to smother the opposition. And then the closer you are to each other and in those attacking half, you've got a better chance of winning the ball back higher and being a counter-pressing team, which obviously this group with the dynamics and everything that we have, you saw at times was really effective.
Yeah, then Rob, just to end it, you obviously put in Turner, and you have Hiatt today, and then Reyes, who are all in the top end. aerial duels. So that gives you that element, but you end with a bunch of speed and youth as well. So just kind of talk about the elements you're putting into, just before the game, and then to end it as well.
Yeah, look, I'm the chef. I'm the Gordon Ramsay here. I need all the ingredients to make the meal. And you see the starting course, but you need a finisher, and I need a dessert. And I was hoping, as Lex went through, I had the cherry on top of the dessert at the end there, which I think the players richly deserve tonight. So it's good to have that in your tool belt and in your locker, and or continuing my theme in my pantry. But yeah, like I say, they're a wonderful group to work with, all kinds of different talents. I think, Reilyn, good in the air, like you said, but the running tonight, the pressing, back to goal, some of the link play was excellent. Sammy leading the line through the back was, an absolute brick wall back there. Rayner, yeah, good in the air. You need to defend the far post in these spaces, especially with their wing threats. So delighted. I thought, like I say, after the first 15 minutes to a player, the performance was very, very good. And I think with a little more help from the people in yellow and a little bit of composure, we'd have got the result we deserve tonight.
All right, this concludes today's post-match media availability with head coach Rob Gale. Thank you, Rob.
Pleasure. Thanks.
Got any audio? There we go. 1 2 1 2. All right, just a quick reminder, we got 15 minutes with the players. I'll call on you individually by name, or we'll call on you right to the side, and we'll get you the microphone for questions. For those on Zoom, just raise your hand and we'll call on you as the order comes in. For those who are not recording, we'll send a recording of tonight's post-match availabilities to you all sometime after we're done here. All right, with that said, who's got my first question? Okay, Fook.
Luke went with all for 11. So Sam and Reilyn, this is your first time starting on opening night for the Portland Thorns in front of the Riveters, the city of Portland. What was that moment like for both of you?
Yeah, I mean, I would say this was my first game as a Thorn here, but I've played many, many games here and have been on the other side of all that energy. And so it was just so fantastic being able to hear the crowd and really feel that energy down on the field. Yeah, it was electric, and it was very nice being on this side of it.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. Obviously, last year I had a couple games here, but I did visit when I was playing against the Thorns, and it wasn't that fun for me. But like Sam said, I feel like it's just a crazy atmosphere, and just feeling all the support from the Riveters, and even it started as soon as they sang the national anthem, just with the scarves and everything, the smoke. It's like a feeling I've never felt before, and it's really nice to be on this side and to have them root for you.
Yeah, and then Sam, can you just talk to us about leading such a young back line? And then Reilyn, if you can break down your goal as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think we are a younger back line, but I also think everyone's done a really great job putting in the work this preseason to really mesh together and work together, because I do think playing and getting used to the people next to you is really important. Obviously, there's things that we can still do to learn and grow from in this game, but honestly, I've just been really proud of everyone, regardless of age or experience. I think everyone's really worked very hard this preseason leading into this season to make sure that we really mesh and do our best as a backline, like as a cohesive group out there.
And yeah, for me, this week we've been working on set pieces and how to exploit Angel City and what they might give up in what areas. And we had certain plays that we were running, and the ball thankfully got through to me, and just putting it away and capitalizing. It's just a great moment.
Yeah, Wilder Ison with Stumptown Footy. I'll start with Sam. You last match played 60 minutes, or you didn't start. You were on a 60-minute limit. And then this game, you played the full 90. Kind of talk through your recovery process and being able to talk to Rob. Said you sat down with him and kind of talked things through. What's that like having, staff that supports you in that, and you can have those discussions, and then yeah, coming back from that injury.
Yeah, I think the whole staff here has been so great with everything, but specifically coming back from an injury. I think it's really hard as a player. You always want to play and you always want to push. Like, can I do a little bit more? Can I get a couple more minutes? Can I stay on? Can I do this or that? And so I think they did a really good job in preseason, both the performance staff getting me physically ready, and then also the coaches just having honest conversations about, what I might need, what the team might need, and trying to figure out how to put it all together. Just keeping in mind that, again, like as players, we're always going to want to play, but it's good to have the structure set up so that we can be intentional and safe about things as well when we're coming back from injury. So everyone's been really great so far.
And then question for both of you. When we've talked to Rob about the dynamic of this team, obviously it's a pretty young team, a lot of new players. I guess I'm wondering if you can both speak to kind of how you would describe the vibe of the 2025 Thorns. Sam, especially in relation to like other NWSL teams you've been on, and then Reilyn, like especially in terms of like last year versus this year. Obviously, you got half a season with the Thorns, but still.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like last year was short-lived for me. Obviously, I got here halfway through the season, but I feel like the great part about having such a young team is like we get to establish who we are and we get to make this year our own without like past expectations and the team that we were last year. There's obviously a lot of new faces. And I feel like that's a great opportunity to create our identity and make being a Thorn what we want it to mean.
Yeah, I think, like Ray said, I think it's just such a great opportunity that even though we are young and have new faces, that we get to decide what being a Thorn looks like and what our team identity looks like this year. I just feel like we have really good vibes. Everyone's very energetic and everyone's very bought into, like our structures and what we want to achieve. And I think that when you have that as a foundation, it just really sets you up to, again, things are going to happen. You're going to give up goals. Games aren't going to go your way. But when you have a foundation where everyone's bought in, pulling in the same direction, then I think that really helps get a team through, the ups and downs of a season.
This is building on that a little bit, but leading up to the season, a lot of the talk around the team was about who's not here, the retirements, the injuries. Sophia. How much of that did you all hear? How did that sit with you, and how much do you have to prove or want to show everybody that there's a really good roster here, despite all those players who aren't here right now?
I feel like, yeah, like a lot of big names from last year, either retired or injured or going through personal things. But I feel like we said, like that's such a great opportunity for this team this year. Obviously, we have a lot of new people and some of the same people, and I feel like it's different expectations. It's exciting to see people step into roles that maybe they didn't have in previous years. Yeah, I feel like it's just a really exciting year for us, and obviously there's a lot of people from last year who made this club what it is today. Obviously, Sinky, her legacy will never be forgotten, and kind of like making this a new Thorns, like we said, but definitely missing those players, but finding a way to come together and make this a new team.
I think too, there's obviously always talk like in an off season when players leave and things change and rosters look different. But then at the same time, when we show up on the first day of preseason, it's like, okay, this is what we have in our locker room, and we have a lot of like great things going in this locker room. So it's just about using what we do have. And at the same time, knowing that again, there have been great players who've come before and worn these jerseys and played in the stadium, and knowing that we can and carry on their legacy in some ways, but also create our own legacy and make the Thorns the identity that we want moving forward as well.
I'm Emma with Stumptown Footy. Not to beat a dead horse, but to kind of talk about the legacy that has been left and kind of the impression that they continue to make on you guys. Rob talked about how you guys got a video from Nicole ahead of this game, and then Soph's in the stands tonight. What have those players who maybe aren't necessarily a part of what's on the field, but I'm sure they're contributing in their own ways and also stepping into different roles. So I'm curious what their roles have looked like and how that has played a part in the culture you guys are still continuing to build without them.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like seeing Soph in the locker room today just kind of gave us like a different confidence, and knowing that although she might not be here all the time, like she's still with us and still supports us in our games. And I think that's really special. And then obviously the injuries we've had in preseason, having that message from Nicole before the game, it kind of reminds us who's not here and who we're playing for. And while they don't have the opportunity to play, we do. So don't take advantage of that and don't take it for granted. But yeah, it's definitely hard seeing your teammate who has been injured and had their season taken away from her. But knowing that you can do something for yourself and something that they can't do, and just playing with that pride.
Yeah, I think it's really hard being injured in this job. It just is hard. But I think everyone who hasn't been able to be, or for whatever reason, when you're not able to be with the team, but everyone who's in that position this year has done such a great job of supporting and doing what they can. And maybe, that is different than to previous years, but everyone's done a really good job of, supporting and sending messages and still making their presence felt. And I just think that's extra motivation. Again, having Soph in the locker room, having a message from Nicole, it just really gives you a little bit extra because you're playing, just play a little bit harder for them.
Right. Any other questions?
Obviously, you have a Pacific Northwest connection. What has it been like to kind of be back home on this coast? And Reilyn, you scored in the playoff game and you scored in this home opener. You have obviously everyone's talking about this opportunity ahead of them, but your name has been popping up a lot, just with your ability, your talent, things like that. What has that been like just to know the opportunity for 2025?
I'm definitely a Pacific Northwest girly at heart, and it's been so nice being close to home. My family's come down for multiple times already. They were all here today. They came to our preseason game versus Utah, so I'm very grateful to be back home, closer to them, so they can come to the games. But also, again, I do love the Pacific Northwest, and it will always have a special place in my heart.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I was in Louisville previously, and that was very, very far from home. I'm from Southern California, not Northern, but still drivable distance for the off season at least. But it's nice that my family gets to come to more games now, rather than finding connections to go very, very far away. Yeah, I didn't know my name was circling. That's nice, but yeah, obviously last year came in halfway through the season. Learning to play with that group last year, and then I feel like preseason is such a big opportunity that I wasn't able to be with this team in preseason last year, but I feel like that's a big growing phase for the team and getting to learn how to play with everyone. And I feel like this preseason has been really good for us and for me, just learning like how people are and how they like to play. And I feel like I ended last year on a high note. Obviously, like you said, my goal in playoffs. So just kind of building off of that and fine tuning the little things and having that work its way into this year. It's exciting.
All right. Final question for Leo.
We've talked a lot about how Nicole sent y'all a message before the game. I guess curious if there were highlights from that. You haven't talked really about like the content of it. Was it just like cheering you guys on? Was there anything that like resonated with you, or was it just like nice to see a familiar face, hear a familiar voice?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, like it's moving to see like her at home on her couch making this video to show to us. Like she's not in the locker room with us, like she's at home, sadly, and she's supporting us all the way from home. And seeing that she's in another state but still showing her support, it means the world to us. And obviously we wish that she could be here more than anything, but just knowing that she supports us from wherever she is, it's really moving.
We love Nicole.
Yeah.
All right, with that, that concludes today's post-match press conference with Reilyn Turner and Sam Hiatt. Thank you all for being here. We're going to be sending a recording of today's media availability with both the players and Rob. So if you're not in the Slack channel, let me know so I can email it to you. Thank you, Dan, for tuning in via Zoom. Yeah, thank you all for coming in.
Thank you.